The Royals salvaged the final game of the series against the White Sox on Sunday. A couple of rough games. The previous two, they ended up losing the series in Chicago. The Yankees are coming to town. This week, a lot to talk about from the series. We'll do it live right now on One Royal Way. We're back at it here on Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Joel Penfield. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We're live here on YouTube on a Sunday night, as always. So if you're watching this now, make sure you hit that like button. If you're watching this later on YouTube, hit that like button. Subscribe on all the audio platforms as well. Hit notification bells however you consume this show so you know when our episodes go up. When they do, 3 times a week, covering every single Royals game. I can't thank y'all enough for the support that we've had throughout this season. This show, as always, brought to you by Emprise Bank. Member FDIC, our partners impossible here at Kansas City Sports Network. Can't thank them enough for their support of this show and everything we do here at KCSN. We'll go ahead and just dive right in here. Got 3 games against the White Sox. There's a lot to get through from the first game, specifically late game stuff being the main factor. And then some stuff to get to today as well. But it was a rough series overall. I mean, you lose 2 or 3 to the White Sox in 2025. Now, I'll say this: the White Sox are improved from last year. Like, their pitching is fairly solid. They got some young players that are up here now that are starting to round into form. Miguel Vargas, Chase Mydroth, Kyle Teal made his MLB debut over the weekend. Like, they got some pieces there, but they're 21-43. Like, they are not a good baseball team, even if they are much better than the historically bad team they were in 2024. You can't afford to take a series like that. I mean, it is, and the way that they lost a couple of these games is just unacceptable. Offensively, some decisions that were made. It's just not a tenable situation if you're going to believe you're a playoff team to drop games and drop series like this. These are the series you have to take advantage of. And then when the Yankees come to town, you're okay. Like, hey, we may lose 2 or 3 here, but we got 3 over the weekend. We got the A's coming in. Like, we can salvage this. Now you put yourself in a really interesting spot with the Yankees coming to town where you feel like it's almost not desperation time, but you get close to it being 33-31 in a series where I thought they could have maybe been 35-31, something like that. It's a rough situation. It is what it is. Happy flight today after winning the Sunday game and back home for 6, and we'll see how they handle it from there. They end up losing. They lost the game on Friday 7-2, and it wasn't that close. It was a close game really until the 8th inning when it all fell apart, both offensively and defensively on the pitching side. Seth Lugo gave you a fairly decent start. It was better than what he did against in his most recent start, first game back off the injured list. Not a ton of swing and miss here, but a normal Seth Lugo start. He gets you into the 5th. 5 innings, 2 earned, 5 strikeouts. Give up a home run to Mike Tauchman. But I thought it was a much better step in the right direction for him on the pitching side. After kind of a rough one in his first outing back off the injured list. But it seems like he's starting to get back into form. I mean, the ERA is still in the mid-3s. He's pitching well. It's just hard to expect. And I know that so much of our minds, we think of what he did last season. And it's not that it's not replicable, but it's just not something you can necessarily anticipate. Every year from a guy in his mid-30s. Offensively, they get a couple of back in the 3rd with the Michael and Vinny going back-to-back homers. The power started to come for this team a little bit as of late, which is a good sign. They've hit the least amount of home runs in the big leagues. I think that's still the case, despite some of the power surge that we've seen since the St. Louis series. So that that's not for nothing here. Other than that, they really didn't do a lot offensively, and they didn't take advantage of some opportunities. And it's how you lose a ball game. I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward right to the 8th inning because it's 2-2. They pitching, they had kind of kept them in it a little bit. Lynch gave you an inning in the 3rd, and Jonathan Bolin gave you an inning, I believe it was in the 7th, where he pitched fairly well and got out of the inning with no damage. They brought him back out for the eighth, and we'll get to that in a minute. But that kind of leads you into this eighth inning where you started off with Jonathan India taking a walk and Bobby hitting a single up the middle. You got 2 on, nobody out, tie game. You're into their bullpen. And Maikel Garcia lays down a bunt, trying to move the runners. And it's a play we've seen the Royals do quite a bit of over the past few years. It's kind of one of those, got to find a way to manufacture a run. Wait, let's do this. There's a few layers to this. If it were, I don't know, John Rave and Drew Waters in front of Kyle Isbell, first and second, nobody out, you lay down that bunt. Even if I'm not a fan of bunting, you guys have known me for a very long time. If you followed my content for the last 6-7 years, you would know I am anti-bunt because I don't like giving up outs. But it is there is still a skill to it, and I recognize that. And that's why when Kyle Isbell goes and does it, I'm fine with it because he's very good at it. At laying down a sack bunt or a bunt for a base hit. There's no one better at it in the league right now. But Maikel Garcia is your 3-hole hitter, right? That's where you put him in this lineup to change the complexion of your offense. And they've had success since they made this little shift in the lineup. And I understand wanting to try and move some runners and make an aggressive move and all that. That's not the person to do it. Maikel doesn't lay down bunts very often. It's not something he is asked to do. And to make that decision to me, and Q said after the game, they called for it. It wasn't like Maikel, went and did it on his own, trying to, make something happen. To me, it's indefensible. Like, you cannot make that decision there. And that's coupled by Jonathan India making a horrible slide into third and basically giving up the out almost right away. So the sack bunt doesn't actually do what it was supposed to do. It'd be one thing if Maikel laid it down and you got second and third one out. I still wouldn't like it, but at least you got 2 in scoring position for Vinny, who's red hot, and Salvi, who seems like he started to turn a corner. Instead, it's now first and second, 1 out, and Vinny comes up. He grounds into a force out. Now he ends up beating out the double play, but it ends up being first and third now, 2 outs. After first and second, nobody out, and no runs have come in. And then Salvi pops out to the catcher on a fastball at the top of the zone that he normally is able to at least Tommy Hawk or something into the outfield, try and put in play. Nope, foul territory, and you're out of the inning. That felt like the game right there. And that's before the White Sox even came up. And you could feel like, oh boy, White Sox are probably going to get a couple here. And they did. They had to they brought Jonathan Bolin out for the 8th inning, try and sneak a second inning out of him. And I understand why they did. The bullpen had been taxed with a doubleheader the previous day. Now, whether you want to continue to trace it back to because they took Noah Cameron out after the 6th, I understand that. I'm not going to get into that because I still stand by what they did with Noah Cameron was the right decision, the game result notwithstanding. But this is kind of the unforeseen consequence of making those decisions as they come down the line. And Jonathan Bolin fell apart. I mean, he was up a double, lead off to Andrew Benintendi, ground out, you move a runner to third, and then it's walk, soft, single by Luis Robert, ground out, walk, and it's 4-2. And then Taylor Clark comes in, fielding error by Maikel, throwing error on a pickoff. It's 7-2. The game just fell apart. The only thing missing was yakety sacks for this team. You finish the game with 6 strikeouts and 7 walks. You go 0 for 5 runners in scoring position. You leave 6 on. Drew Waters got picked off, in this game, trying to steal second. You let a guy in Davis Martin, who is, while a fairly decent pitcher, not a huge strikeout guy, he strikes out 7 in 6 innings. A lot of fastballs in the middle of the zone, and they couldn't do anything with it. Really, outside of Vinny and Maikel, they didn't do anything offensively. And the one chance they had in the 8th, they squandered in spectacular fashion. It's the kind of loss you can't take. And to lose in that fashion for a team that I still think is a good baseball team that is going to be competing for the rest of this year, it's about as inexcusable of a loss as you're going to take. Losses happen. This game is too hard to beat every bad team every time. But to lose in the fashion that they did, I hope that it is a wake-up call that we can't keep messing around with this anymore. And we'll see. It obviously did not work on Sunday, and we'll get to that game here in just a minute, but absolutely frustrating loss to take in that situation, and you hope that we don't see too many more like that. Could look at it as a one-off because the bullpen was shot, but that 8th inning, totally was a disaster, and you hope that they don't, that doesn't keep the snowball rolling downhill and they keep heading in the wrong direction. We'll see. We'll go ahead and take our break here, and we'll talk about the games on Saturday and Sunday here right after this.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Folks, it's playoff time, and if you're still just watching games, then you're missing out. With Pick 6 from DraftKings, you can turn your hoops knowledge into real cash. Just make your picks, track your score, and if you hit all 6, you're looking at bigger payouts than Prize Picks Flex Plays. Nobody's dropping better payouts than Pick 6. Hit 6 picks, and that's 25 times your cash. And if you beat your competition, you could be looking at a 500 times bag in your pocket. And right now, new customers can get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry. Here's what you got to do. The playoffs are on, so why not take a shot at making a little money while you're watching? Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN to play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks. Better payouts, bigger wins, only on Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you're hanging out live here on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe on audio platforms. If this is your first time checking out the show, I appreciate the support here. Unfortunately, things did not get much better for the Royals on Saturday. They lose 4-1. They got another home run early. Vinny hit a home run, didn't realize that he hit a home run. I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but I mean, it's not like it was a cheapie. It was 360 feet, up where Joel Goldberg was hanging out trying to find Jac Caglianone's, first homer. That obviously hasn't happened yet, but Vinny stays hot. He's, another three hits in this game. What's his season weighted runs created plus now? Because he got it to 100 with the 4-hit game against St. Louis. It's up to 111 now. And you consider where Vinny was after April. I mean, it looked like he looked like a completely different player. It was a situation where you're like, is he going to be the first baseman, when Cags comes up? But now, I mean, he's rip-roaring hot. 111 weighted runs created plus. He's up near a full win now in 64 games. He's been that good for this team. The strikeout rate is coming down. The walk rate's going up. also fair to consider that he started this season with that hamstring injury that kind of got tender on him in the last spring training game, and he started the year no injury, no IL stint, no couple days off, just right into playing. And now we're starting to see like, oh, Vinny might actually be healthy now when he really wasn't earlier in the year, which I think could lead to some of the searching that he was doing, throughout the year. Seems like we're trending in the right direction now, and some of those hits with runners in scoring position are coming up here. Story of this game offensively, and I love him. Salvi was really bad in this game. He had a chance. I believe it was in the fourth inning. Michael singles, and this to me felt like the game. And I hate saying it, that early, but Waka gave up a 2-run home run to Mike Elko Mike Elko, that's the coach of the Aggies. Tim Elko played at Ole Miss. He hit a 2-run homer with 2 outs and 2 strikes. Like it was that's a tough scene there to give up that. So not two strikes. It was just 2 outs. I mean, it was a middle cutter, and then he left one on a tee for Chase Mydroth, first pitch in the third inning, bottom of the third. And so at that point, you're down 3-1. And I mean, cynically with this offense, you're thinking they don't have many more chances. Like they've got to get this figured out now. And we'll see, if they're able to bounce back. Fourth inning, and this isn't all on Salvi, but it started there. Michael singles on a ground ball. And then Vinny singles. So you got first and second, nobody out. Wild pitch. And then it's second and third with nobody out. Salvi up, and it's a 3-2 count. And I know Salvi will swing and do it all the time. I understand that as part of who he is. But he swung at a 57-foot changeup that was never close. Like there are some times where, like that slider starts middle away and breaks. And it's like, man, you hate to see it, but sometimes like when you're making those decisions in a quarter second, like sometimes you just pull the trigger. Like I get it. Even if it's frustrating in the moment, it's like, okay, hitting's hard. That was a situation where it wasn't even close. And given the situation, like you hold up, you got bases loaded, nobody out, Jack coming up with Drew Waters behind him. And that was really the first time with Jack where I felt like, oh boy, like he is searching a little bit. And not like in a concerning way, but just that like, oh yeah, rookie trying to figure it out. Because he got a hanging curveball that he foul tipped for a strike. And then Hauser threw him, put it on a tee for him at 96 right down the middle. And Jack looked like he was just hesitant. Like he didn't see it out the hand. He fouled it off. It's not like he saw him miss through it, but it was like, man, when he's confident and once he's more established, no one is ever going to throw him that pitch again. And because if he does, they're going to hit it. He's going to hit it 445, 450 feet. But that was one where I looked and I was like, oh boy, yeah, he's searching a bit. And then he ends up tapping the ball back to the pitcher, can't score, can't get it in the air, the infield's playing back. They had a chance to get one there, couldn't do it. And then Drew Waters struck out looking. It was not a strike, but that doesn't matter. It is just another situation for this team where you have your chances and you have to take advantage of them. And they just didn't. And that was basically your game. They right there in the fourth inning. You scratch a couple across there, you at least make them think about it, and it's 3-3, but they couldn't even do that. And they ended up getting some insurance in the eighth off of Trevor Richards, and that was the game. You're 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position, 8 left on. So in 2 games, you're 0 for 11 with 14 left on. You're not winning games that way. And this is just the story of the season. This might just be who this team is, right? You're 60-something games into this thing. You kind of are what you are. And I think this team is just going to be an inconsistent offense that's going to struggle to scratch them across when they really need them. not going to win a lot of games that way. They're going to have to get this thing figured out. Now, the offense has taken strides, I think, the top 4 specifically, and Salvi to some extent. 0 for 4 golden sombrero notwithstanding on Saturday. They're like, maybe they can right the ship a little, but I don't know. Because I can't, we've all kind of kept waiting for, hey, when's this offense going to get turned around? When are they going to be able to figure this out? I don't know if they are. I don't know if they are. And maybe another bat makes a difference and helps, add some of this. But we'll see, man. It's getting late early from that perspective. Not that, and that's not me trying to sit here and be like, oh, the season's over because the offense sucks. It's not that. But I think we just need to readjust our expectations for what this offense can be, even if you're the most optimistic person in the world. The pessimistic people were there on opening day. But I think you got to recalibrate. Yeah, this team probably isn't going to drive in a ton of runs, and they're going to struggle with runs in scoring position. They're going to get some, right? But that big hit in the 6th inning when they really need it, I don't know. When last year it felt like it was automatic. Like, oh yeah, they're getting first and second, nobody out, they're getting at least one. Like you just kind of felt it. And some of that is the variance year to year with runners in scoring position. That's something they knew coming into the year that they're going to have to deal with, but it's gone so far in the other direction that you just wonder, when's it ever going to turn around, at all. Now they end up getting it done today. They end up winning 7-5. Shouldn't have been that close. We'll talk about the 9th inning here in a minute. But this was a impressive offensive game. But more importantly to that, I want to give a ton of credit to Michael Lorenzen, because in the 1st inning, he ends up, what was I'm going to go, inning batter by batter here. He walks the first guy, and then he gets 2 outs, and then I think he hung a pitch to Miguel Vargas. It was a homer. I just want to make sure I get the pitch correct. Yeah, it was a sinker in, but didn't get in enough. He ends up putting the barrel on it. It's 2-0. And when you consider what Michael Lorenzen's last 2 starts have looked like, you give up 2 there. It's like, oh boy, like here we go, kind of a here we go again. Are we heading toward a sweep type situation? But to his credit, he buckled down. Retired 17 of the next 18 batters that he faced. Retired 12 in a row to end his day. 7 strikeouts, 2 walks, only the 1 hit allowed, and it was just that home run in the 1st. That was it. So him buckling down is what kept the Royals in this game. And I know that we had the conversation last week of, there's no shot Lorenzen can be in the rotation anymore. It's got to be Noah Cameron's spot. Well, it sounds like we're going to get him kind of in the middle here, and they're likely going to go 6-man for a little bit, give guys like Reagans and Bubic and like an extra day. Bubic was supposed to go this weekend. He's going in the Yankee series. I believe it's Tuesday. I'll check the probables at the end of this episode just to confirm that. But, he showed like he can still be effective. And whether he's able to do that over the long haul, I don't know. But for him to do it in this game, coming off of 2 of the worst outings he's had this season that any Royal starter has had this season, he deserves a lot of credit there. Offensively, the Royals got 16 hits in this game. India with 3, Bobby with 2 and a homer, Michael with 2, Vinny with 2, Salvi got a big one. Get 2, it was a home run. There in the 4th inning, got them back in it a little bit. Jac Caglianone goes 4 for 4. And you felt like it was coming, right? Dude's got a 52%, 53% hard hit rate. The expected batting average is around 290. He's squaring the ball up, not striking out at a crazy enough clip that makes you concerned. He's barreling the ball. He's hitting the crap out of it. The max EV is around 114. He's doing a lot of the right things. Thank you, Elizabeth. Cameron is going Tuesday, Bubic Wednesday, Lugo Thursday. I appreciate it. I hadn't confirmed that, but I thought it was going to be Bubic on Tuesday, but thank you. But Jac Caglianone showed why. Like, oh, this dude can hit the ball. and the ball can find grass. Because what we've seen so far is he can hit it really hard. He just hit it right at people. And hitting it on the ground maybe a little more than you like. But he had multiple instances in this White Sox series where he's hitting the ball 110 miles an hour just right at someone, or a guy makes a great play on it. Kind of got robbed in a couple of spots similar to what we saw in that Cardinals series. And today, not the case. He drops 4 in, and none of them were real cheapies. It was a 91 mile an hour single. What was the next one? It was 114 mile an hour double. One hop the wall. And it was a pitch like up and in, and he just Tommy hawked it out there. And then 101 mile an hour single up the middle. And then to end it 104 up the middle on a changeup down. And the guy's bat to ball skills are incredibly impressive. And some of the chase stuff is a little overblown in my opinion, but like it's coming around for him. And you'll see him. He start to put together some more quality at bats as the season, as the week went along. A little less, swing and miss on strikeouts and stuff like that. He only struck out a couple times in this series after the 3 strikeout game to end the Cardinals series. I think the dude's going to be really good. And I'm curious, what coming back to Kauffman Stadium might do for him and playing to that crowd. Wouldn't be shocked if he hits his first home run in that Yankees series with the crowd behind him. It's good to start the series, start his career on the road, a little less pressure, things like that. But I think now that he's got a few games under his belt, it's going to be pretty fun to watch. And I'm going to be out there on Tuesday, so I can't wait to see what the crowd reception is going to be, the attendance and all that for a Tuesday game. I bet it's going to be pretty darn crowded when you consider the magnitude of Caglianone coming up and helping this team as we get into the summer. And through the first part of this game, a lot of the same stuff runners and scoring position wise. They left multiple guys on with nobody out. And no one came in to score. I think that was in the 3rd inning. And you're just sitting there like, are they going to do it again? Is it just going to happen again? Well, as the game wore on, they ended up in a couple of decent positions here. It was trying to find the inning. Oh, so I mean, they hit like 4 double plays today. I think Lofton hit into 2. That's tough. I mean, you're not going to win many games that way. But I mean, they had a time in the 5th where Bobby and Jonathan India singled, Michael hits into a double play, and they're out of the inning. 7th rolls around, and this is when the offense kind of started to get it going a little bit against their bullpen. Canna singles, Isbell does his thing, sack bunt, 1 out. And you're like, okay, what are they going to do? India's coming up, runners in scoring position. Drew Waters pinch ran for Canna, and Jonathan India hits a double to left field, scores a run, takes the lead. 2 batters later, Michael comes up, single to right, scores another run, and it's 4-2. You're like, okay, little weight off here, and we're heading in a pretty good direction. Angel Serpa pitched the 7th, and he had that one awful game against the Reds, I think it was. I think it was on the 10th. Let me get the game logs. Because he had one game where you have like 5 after a pretty decent stretch. But he's been very solid as of late. And I know people don't necessarily want to hear that because they have their preconceived notion of Angel Serpa, and I understand. And like every once in a while, I'm like, man, I don't know. But it was against Boston, where you have 5. And then this is earned runs given up since 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. So with a couple of strikeouts today, and he hasn't been a big strikeout guy for most of his career. So he had that really awful stretch to begin the season. Then he was good for a little bit. Then he had that one blow up, and then he's been really good for a month and a half. Basically 1 month at this point. So is he working his way back into some of those lever situations? I think so. With Ursig coming back, maybe not necessarily the case, but certainly is kind of in that John Schreiber spot where it's like we still have last year in our brain, but they've been good this year. And they were both great in the 7th and 8th inning. And he felt pretty good, 7-2, which that, that 9th inning rolls around and Waters walks. Jonathan India comes up again and singles after a steal. So then it's 5-2. Bobby homers. It's 7-2. And you're like, all right, hey, we got to change. It's 7-2. Trevor Richards, yeah, you're probably not going to be on this team much longer anyway. Go get us the last 3 outs, and we can save our bullpen a little bit. We got an off day. It's another day of rest. Great. Oh, boy. Oh, the 9th inning should not have been as stressful as it was. Mike Tauchman walks. Wild pitch. He goes to second. Chase Mydroth singles. Then Andrew Benintendi singles. And then it's bases loaded. And he walks the guy with the bases loaded. A quick hook right there. And Edgar Caro ends up hitting a single. It's 7-4. Line out. Bobby made another ridiculous headlong dive. An unreal play. Force out 7-5, a walk, and then a strikeout. Stressful inning. Estevez was not awesome, but he also walked into a terrible situation that should never have even happened. I know why they gave, Richards that inning. They're trying not to use one of their high leverage guys. Even with the off day tomorrow, you don't want to have to burn them, or have that potential where they're working 2 and 3 days. Elizabeth Hall, once again, thank you for hopping in here. Ursig pitched 1 inning, rehab tonight in Omaha. If he'll be back in KC for the Yankees series. It sounds like he could be back as early as Wednesday, was a report that I saw today. So he should be coming off the injury list. It sounds like it's going to be that true 15-day. Wednesday would be the first day he's eligible back. I would imagine that's the case. It's probably the move. I don't think it's necessarily the move for Trevor Richards, but because I think that would be a straight DFA. Like they needed the depth. It was kind of like having Hatch up like for the one day. Like they just needed a body, and Richards had to get into a game. But it's not like they gave it to him in a high leverage situation. It's 7-2. Like you don't want to have to burn, Steven Cruz. You don't want to have to burn Carlos Estevez in that situation if you don't have to. Maybe you go to Daniel Lynch, but I don't know. To me, Daniel Lynch is kind of a ticking time bomb. Not that I think he's going to be horrible, but the ERA to FIP is real drastic, and some of the hard hit stuff is concerning, but he's still pitching well through. He's kind of dancing through the raindrops right now. It's just something to monitor as we go through. And I'll get some of those numbers here real quick as I'm talking about it, because it's something that Lesky and I went back and forth and talked about. I think Lynch has carved himself out a solid role, for this team as a kind of he can be a multi-inning. He can get you, some outs when you need it, but he's got 18 strikeouts, 17 walks. He's given up, 22 hits in 30 innings. But the run prevention has been almost unsustainably good. It's 86.7% left on base, which means runners that have gotten on but haven't scored. When you see that super high of a number, it's either a situation where, yes, this guy is a lockdown reliever, or this guy's kind of dancing through the raindrops a little bit. And with the ERA to FIP being drastically different, a 2.10 ERA to a 4.74 FIP, that means we're going to see some regression here. So it's just something to watch out for. And I know people are super high on Daniel Lynch, given what he was as a starter versus what he is now. It's very different. I understand. It is a situation to monitor. That's all I'm going to say about it. When it comes to, what he is moving forward, when you think about like high leverage situations. I'll go ahead and get the probables. Elizabeth in the YouTube chat list on who is pitching which day, but I'll get the Yankees starter as well. Yankees are currently losing 10-5 to the Boston Red Sox. And after the off day on Tuesday, it'll be Max Fried, Noah Cameron, lefty deal fest at Kauffman. That's going to be a lot of fun. On Wednesday, it'll be Chris Bubich versus Clark Schmidt. And then on Thursday, it will be Seth Lugo against Will Warren, who's had a couple of decent starts here. All of those games are 6:40 starts. So head out to Kauffman Stadium, see the Royals play the Yankees. This is a litmus test, right? And for all the, understandable kind of complaining is not the right word, but like trepidation for who the Royals are, what are they going to become, where we're at in this season through all of that. They're 8.5 back in the division. I've kind of written that off at this point. The Tigers are freaking ridiculous. The Royals are 1.5 out of a wild card spot, and they're 1 back in the win column from all of them. The Twins, the Blue Jays, and the Rays hold those spots right now, but the Royals are 1 back in the loss column to the Mariners, and they're 2 back in the loss column to the Guardians. So they're right there. One hot week, and you're right back in it if you're the Royals. So it's just I understand the God dog it. This seems to me should be so much better. I get it, but this team is still right there, and they're still hanging around. And this pitching is going to keep them in. And if the offense is able to get going with any sort of regularity, then we're in a much better situation. I think that's going to do it for tonight. I'm going to toast game to Jac Caglianone for his 4-hit performance today. Sparked the offense a little bit. He started to round into form when he really gets going, I think we could see the offense take another step forward. India, Vinny, Bobby, Salvi have started to do that. If Jack's able to get, and Michael has been as consistent as anyone all year. If Jac is able to get going, just adds another layer here, and we're looking at an offense that could start to take some steps in the right direction. That's going to do it for tonight. Be sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, all of those good things. Thank you to everybody that was hanging out here live on YouTube. We will talk again. You'll hear from me on probably Wednesday because I will be at the game on Tuesday night. Live show Thursday night as usual. And that will be post-game for the Yankees. That will be post-game after that game is done. So it'll be kind of late, but, we'll see you there. We'll talk soon. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Have a good week.